This video is brought to you by Pramp. Pramp is a free online service that allows you to prepare for your upcoming technical interviews. The nice thing about Pramp is that it allows you to practice like you play. The way it works is you sign up for Pramp, which is free, and then you schedule a time that works for you to set up your mock interview. Pramp automatically matches you with a peer at the time that you select, and when the interview starts, you each have 30 minutes to play the role of both the interviewer and interviewee. Prior to the start of the interview, you will be provided a technical interview question from Pramp that you will ask your peer, and your peer will also be given a question that they will ask you during the interview. One of the things I really enjoy about the Pramp service is that it forces you to work under time pressure and also peer pressure, and this is something that you can't quite obtain from just grinding leak code questions or cracking the coding interview problems. So these are great resources, but knowing how to deal with getting stuck in a setting where someone else is watching and assessing you is incredibly valuable, and this is something that really pays off to practice. If you want to sign up for Pramp and give this a shot, please check out the sign up link in the description of this video. Using Pramp is 100% free, but using that link helps support my channel. So if you found my content to be helpful and feel as if you could benefit from the Pramp service, then please sign up and give it a try. We're going to be going over a general approach for system design interviews. So if you look at the other videos on this channel, specifically the ones under the system design playlist, you'll notice that we covered a specific type of problem called the URL shortener. So this is a very standard problem that you might encounter in an interview in the context of a system design interview. What we're going to be going over here is more a general approach for any problem that you might get on this type of interview. So this is not going to be extensive. It's not going to cover the entire scope of every single problem that you might encounter, but it will give general strategies and tactics for how to approach and tackle these types of problems. So the goal of this video is just general approach and strategy. Namely, we want to present some tools and give you a set of tools that you can use to tackle whatever system design question that comes your way. So the general point of contact for this is to leverage your current skill set. So if you are interviewing for, let's say, a database position, or if your strength is programming on the back end or front end, you should want to try to leverage your skill set for whatever system design problem you're given. So for instance, in the URL shortener example, or let's say in the example where maybe you are tasked with something like designing Twitter, if your experience is front end, your goal, if you're applying for a front-end position, in this case might be to focus more on the pros and cons of using different frameworks for front-end design. If it's more back-end, it might be something on scaling and database techniques, things like that. So based on your current skill set, because the whole reason that they're trying to bring you onto this team, they want to kind of figure out what unique element you bring to the table. And in order to showcase that, your own tactics, your own skill set is going to be important to is going to be an interesting contribution to the problem that you're trying to solve. And the other goal of this presentation is really just to kind of provide some further resources and information on system design interviews. So other books, YouTube videos, or other pieces of information that might be helpful if you are trying to prepare for interviews of this type. And I just want to give an attribution to the post Crack the System Design Interview Tips from a Twitter Software Engineer. A lot of the content that we'll cover, a lot of the format is going to be taken from that post. So I'm going to leave a description to that post in the description of this video so you can consult that, and that's also part of the further reading in the at the end of this talk. So the main point of a system design interview, or one of the main things that you'll want to establish, is clarification. Generally, the way these problems go is you're given a vague problem. You're given something that has a million different pieces, and it's given in such a way where you really want to kind of break it down and get clarification as to what is important. So this is important for a couple of reasons, because part of the reason that the interviewer wants to assess your skill here is the interviewer wants to see how well you handle vague requirements. So in working with a company, in working with a client, you're going to receive vague requirements from your client. And your goal as a person who is trying to implement a product to help that person, you'll want to drill down and actually get clarification as to what they really mean, what that will entail from your side from an implementation standpoint, and how to best serve the client or the company. So this format of a question, if you're not familiar with the system design type of question, it's kind of similar, or the approach, let's say, for asking clarification is similar to how you would do it with a standard technical interview problem. So for instance, if you're given a standard technical interview problem, we have a whole series of videos like that on this channel. One of the things that you want to do when the problem is stated is probably not just jump into coding the problem or using the whiteboard to solve it. You want to ask clarification questions as to what the interviewer is actually getting at. And then once you're clear on what they want, that's when you dive in and start to write the code. Very similar approach here. When you are given the vague requirements, you want to get clarity on what those requirements actually are so you can deliver the best solution that you can given your expertise and given the requirements and restrictions of that project. So this works. The whole reason, I think, for these system design interviews is to see how well you think and to see how well you deal with ambiguity. So this gives a good picture as to how you will deal with these scenarios on the job. So this gives them a bit of that information. So the next point is, once you've clarified what to do, or during this process, while you're clarifying this, you need to ask good questions. So the purpose of asking clarifying questions is really to kind of uncover an actionable piece of the puzzle. So what do you need to do? What is the question that's going to get you to the next step of actually implementing this project? And a good question, by rule of thumb, will give some direction and determine the needs of the customer. So if the answer to a question that you ask gives some answer that follows this type of structure, you know that you're probably on the right path. This is kind of leading you down a good direction. You're at least getting more clarity on how to best serve the client or company. So implementing something completely different than what the customer wants definitely has bad implications for the company. So if you are tasked with implementing some product or some piece of software and you implement something completely different, I mean, this is wasted hours of time. So this is something where you are spending time building something that is not even within the realm of what is required, and it just causes a lot of lost productivity, lost time. Asking good questions is really important. So what you really want to do is try to whittle away at the problem statement until the scope, motivation, and direction of what you really want to do is very clear. So I think it's better, as a rule of thumb, to ask a question that seems trivial than to assume the intent, and as a result, implement a wrong solution for a problem. So sometimes it's just good to make sure that both parties are on the same page, and that if you ask a question that might be seemingly on the surface trivial, if the answer is a trivial response, that's okay. You are on the same page. If it's different, then you just saved yourself potentially some time and effort in having to implement something that would have been, again, wasted time, wasted effort. So the next part of this is understanding the problem. Once you've clarified and once you've asked good questions, part of this whole process is really understanding what the underlying problem that you're trying to solve is. So you want to ensure that prior to proposing a solution or code, that you understand the problem statement and that you can reiterate it concisely to the interviewer. So this is very similar to what you would want to do if you were doing a technical interview as well. If you were tasked with how to search a binary tree or something along that nature, you would want to ask some further clarifications, questions about the structure of the tree, the data stored, how big is it, things like that. So you want to ask certain questions to make sure that your approach is going to be feasible. So furthermore, you want to make sure that you have a solid grasp on the constraints, bottlenecks, scope, goals, and other things of the problem that you're attempting to solve. So doing so will allow you to structure your solution in such a way to either mitigate those constraints, bottlenecks, and to more appropriately focus on the scope and the goals of what you're trying to actually implement here. And then understanding all of these components is going to make solving that problem much less daunting. So once you kind of uncover the ambiguity, once you take the covers and lift them, you see what you're dealing with, and the problem itself might look a lot less daunting now that you've kind of removed that ambiguity. So now what we want to do is want to figure out how to focus scope. So depending on your background, if you were asked to design a large software service like Facebook, for instance, your response is going to be probably based on your area of expertise. This goes back to something that we were talking about earlier, where if you're a front-end developer, the types of problems and how you construct an approach to designing Facebook might be more centered on the front end approach. Of course, you're going to need to know how to do the back end stuff, but your strengths are kind of the reason that what you uniquely contribute to the team is really going to be an important factor here. And I assume that you're most likely, if your front end experience is the mainstay of what you bring to the table, you're probably interviewing for a position, front end developer position. So this will give you a chance to really shine here, hopefully. So for instance, here's an example. If you're a front-end developer, you may spend more time on designing the user interface, and if you are the back-end developer, you might decide to speak more on that side. So the focus also, of course, depends on the role to which you're applying for. So since system design interviews are generally given to candidates who have had previous experience, you can showcase your specialty and make a strong case for what your skills specifically bring to the table. So this is really just kind of a reiteration of what I've already said before. It's just putting all of that on the slide. So one extra point on this is that system design interviews generally assume that you've had some prior experience in building something that is probably similar to what they're asking you to build. It could also be different, but you want to bring the skills that you've acquired, hopefully either through school or through a job, and you want to try to apply them to this problem at hand. So now tackling the problem. So once you and the interviewer are on the same page as to what the goals, scope, etc. of the project is, now it's time to actually drill down and be more specific with how you go about solving that problem. So typically, one way in which you can break this down is you want to abstract certain pieces of functionality into some type of high-level API in such a way in which to organize the major components of the system. So for instance, if it is, let's say, Twitter is the thing that you want to design, there needs to be some sort of API, some sort of high-level thing that allows you to post and maybe also view content. There needs to be, if it's a photo sharing app, you need to have some API that allows you to upload a photo and maybe search a user by a given ID. So certain high-level chunks of things that can be broken down into constituent pieces and then can later be broken down further. So being able to intelligently talk about the trade-offs of different database technologies is a major plus. Like this does come up very frequently in the context of system design interviews. So for instance, if you know the difference between SQL and NoSQL, and why you might want to use either one of those, that helps design your design process. So even if your wheelhouse is not database design, knowing the difference between these two types of databases and how you can use them, I'm talking just kind of like understanding it from a high level, being able to go to the Wikipedia page and have a general sense of what these bring to the table, what their drawbacks are, what the pros and cons are. If you know how those work on some level, you can advocate for using one solution over another. That's going to earn you points as to how you design specifically the database component of your project. So the technologies of SQL and NoSQL in their entirety can be daunting, but for the purposes of this interview, unless you're interviewed specifically for a database position, it's typically going to be okay to just have a high-level understanding of the technology, the trade-offs. Again, this goes back to just kind of having a base knowledge about either of these technologies, general trade-offs for the database methodologies and philosophies behind both of these technologies. If you have that, this is going to be a feather in your cap, and you're going to be able to use this when you're designing that component of your project, which a lot of them have. So that's kind of the general approach. You take a problem, you ask for clarification, you break it down, you want to have some more general, non-specific domain knowledge, and you really want to focus on your strengths. You want to figure out how your own background knowledge can be used to contribute to solve the problem at hand. So some further resources, and I'll leave links to all of these in the description of this video. The first one is a video by Sam of Byte by Byte, who has a very good video of how you can ace your system design courses or interviews. So he has a course on this as well, I believe. If he does, I will also leave a link to that in the description as well. His video gives a very nice overview of what you can look out for when you're preparing for these types of interviews. I find it's always good to have extra content, whether it's written or video content to go over when you're preparing for these things. He's also been a guest on this channel, actually, and there's a podcast that we did together, and you can check that out. I'll leave a link to that in the description as well. Just generally, this is probably a no-brainer, but just searching for system design interviews yields a very large collection of videos that are quite good. A lot of the content I've seen focuses on designing Uber or Twitter or even other videos on URL shorteners. Again, as I mentioned, there's a series that I did on that as well. And if you prefer book content, arguably the best book that I've seen and the one that's usually mentioned in the context of system design interviews is this book called Designing Data Intensive Applications, and I'll leave a link to that in the description below as well. So that pretty much does it for this video. I just kind of wanted to give an overview, a rough approach and tactical guide for how you can approach these types of interviews. I wish you the best in your interviewing, and I hope this helps you. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.